My new friend turned out to be a cult leader. So this started on one of those meet new friends apps. I'm not just a huge loser, I swear. I moved to my current city during the pandemic and have a work from home position, so it just hasn't been the prime circumstances for a social life. I matched with this random girl. We'll call her Annie. I can't remember if I saw her first or vice versa. Honestly, I was paying more attention to the profiles than the pictures, and she seemed okay. Spirituality came up somehow. I can't remember how this happened either. And to be fair, it could have been either of us. I've recently been more seriously following Norse paganism, but it wasn't something I was seeking to explore with other people. It's mostly a private thing. Not to mention my own beliefs are more metaphorical, but that doesn't mean I'm closed to the experience entirely. So when she mentioned having a LGBTQ neurodivergent pagan femme coven, I was like, okay, wow, that's either very specific or very broad. But hey, why not? Maybe it'll be fun. So we agreed to meet first before I went to the event. One weird thing that stuck out in our text conversation was that her partner was in some bizarre Scientology rehab. At first I assumed this was a place where one recovers from Scientology LMFAO, but I did ask her if her partner was a Scientologist. I didn't get an answer. We only met for an hour to have coffee. I think more red flags would have popped up if we'd had more time, because the little things that went off on my radar were things that weren't that weird. Like there were explanations. Or I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt, and my dumbass didn't ask again about the Scientology thing. I kept meaning to Google Scientology rehab, but kept forgetting to do it. I've since Googled it and can't find anything about a rehabilitation for ex-Scientologists soon. I wish I'd done that sooner. There were, however, other things that stuck out. They're relatively benign out of context, but putting everything together in retrospect made me feel dumb. She wouldn't answer any direct questions about herself, and not for lack of asking. I'm the kind of person who is conscious of when the attention is all on me. So it made me uncomfortable, and I didn't learn anything about her, really. Most of what she said had to do with her spiritual awakening. Her spiritual awakening itself sounded weird. ASF. She said she had a realization that she was like a lighthouse that was drawing people toward their personal enlightenment. And okay, I did think this was weird, but like, she's from California. IDK. Maybe that's normal. I just chalked it up to her personal beliefs being whatever they were. Reincarnation came up. Reincarnation is a big part of paganism, although Asatru additionally focuses on your ancestors. She told me she didn't think she had any past lives and is a new soul, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but okay, whatever. Not my circus, not my monkeys. The vaguely supernatural element she placed on herself was strange, but I know a lot of people want to feel special. That didn't mean I had to believe it. At one point, I told her about this random woman I met at the pagan festival who tried to con me. She wanted to charge me so I could be under her wing or whatever, LMFAO. I don't need someone to protect or guide me, so I declined. As I was telling this story, I could tell Annie was conflicted. Like she wanted to agree, but didn't. Finally, she said something blasé, like how it was only inappropriate because the student should choose the teacher. So I clarified that I did not want a teacher. Her responses were very mirroring, and I'm not a moron. I was getting a weird sense that she wasn't being honest with me, that she was telling me things that I wanted to hear, and told myself she was probably just nervous. I have a strong personality. I'm very independent, so I can understand if someone wouldn't want to go up against the things I said at our very first meeting. I know I'm just dumb at this point, but I didn't want to be paranoid. I don't trust people easily, and I know that, so I was trying to loosen up and be more chill. Yeah. Big mistake. So I go to this thing. Immediately it's weird, y'all. Immediately. The second I step foot in that house, I'm uncomfortable. It's filled with people and completely silent. Everyone is looking at me. I'm laughing and saying hi, and no one is like really responding. LMFAO. And here I am awkwardly dropping my keys A&D phone while everyone is just watching me. Eventually I take a seat on this short couch because there's no room in the large circle. It's a very small living room, and there are like 20 people circled up. There's a cushion on the couch, so I sit on that. The leader starts talking, and as she's going on, I'm looking around at the people there. I was curious. Out of the corner of my eye, I see the leader trying to look at me. The girl sitting in front of me is partially blocking our view of each other, so the leader is like leaning over to try and meet my gaze. Finally, I felt awkward enough to like shift over, so that I was leaning against the arm of the couch. Staying perched on a fucking cushion was uncomfortable by that point, so I shifted off and spread out a bit to be more comfortable. The leader ended the speech with, "So spread out, I guess," which was clearly directed at me. It was said with some humor though, so I Wasn't sure what to make of it. Everyone introduces themselves and is their own unique brand of neurodivergent. I'm ADHD, but I guess I don't subscribe to labels beyond the requirement to stay medicated. I've been medicated since 2015, so this isn't a new diagnosis for me. That was the only question we got asked about ourselves, beyond our name. The leader guides us through this meditation, and people are making these weird breathing sounds and hums. I get it. It's spiritual, right? Unfortunately, my ADHD ass can't focus to save my life, and it's impossible for me to follow the guided meditation. I do not understand. How can anyone with actual attention issues listen past trills and deep nose breathing? So I'm sitting there with my eyes closed and barely paying attention, because I can't. But I do hear the leader say that we should think of anything we'd want to ask her or need from her. And that got my attention. WTF? Did I need to ask her? Other than where the snacks were, because I paid $8 and don't see a single snack. Once the meditation ended, Annie and the leader walked around to give us material for an activity. Annie gave me 2 long pieces of twine, and the leader gave me 2 sticks. As the leader was handing me the sticks, I asked her where the snacks were. She was like, in the kitchen, on the table, where snacks tend to be. I'm a dry, sarcastic person, so I thought it was her brand of humor. I laughed and played along all, "Oh right, I think I'll find them." Literally, she was deadpan, unsmiling. And then walked away. So stupid me thought she might just be like that. But then I saw her laughing with the other girls, and realized something was off. As the activity commenced, she went back over to Amy and started stroking her back, kissing her hair, and giving me this creepy smile. Yeah, it was weird. I was so uncomfortable, I wanted to get up and go, but I couldn't. Why? Because of this damn activity. The activity was the last straw. They wanted us to think of something we wanted to discard that brought us pain. Then they wanted us to feel how bad that thing made us feel. As we slowly twisted the piece of twine around the stick. That shit I would only ever do with my therapist. Obviously, people were emotionally melting down before long. I wasn't comfortable doing the activity for obvious reasons. So I sat there awkwardly with the sticks and the string in my lap. I was the only one not doing it, and it was obvious. But because I wasn't doing it, I had the opportunity to watch Annie and the leader, and it was chilling. Annie was doing some weird pyramid thing above her head with her arms. There were a lot of references to her as being a lighthouse, or some sort of guiding figure throughout the meeting. She was the only one who wasn't doing the ritual, other than the other leader. They were both running it. Suddenly, it occurred to me, as it probably did to y'all already, that Annie had been using this app just to bring people into their group. She was the only person who seemed to know everyone, yet no one there knew each other. Even the name of the group now made sense. They weren't being specific, they were casting a wide net, and I had this big realization in a handful of seconds. It made my stomach turn. So, yeah, I was done. But I couldn't get up, because people were sharing their experiences and shit, pouring their hearts out. This was the most fucked up part of it, IMO. There's no reason to do a releasing ceremony that forces people to feel their trauma, especially at the very first meeting. It's also inherently manipulative, because it requires people to let their guard down. Then they can save the day by showing people how to release the very same pain they just inflicted. But that isn't the fault of the people there, so I didn't want to disrespect them. Like, people were sobbing on top of my shoes. I left by the door. I had to wait for the best time to ask someone to pass them to me. Finally, I got up and told everyone I had to go to the car, then took off. I texted Annie and told her I wouldn't be back and that I hoped she found her people. LMFAO. Just make sure you're not her people. Be really careful of any spiritual ceremony or practice that demands vulnerability from you, especially directed by people who don't know you beyond a name. Annie, let's not, under any circumstances, ever meet again. And if y'all ever hear the term neurodivinity, run. If ADHD made me divine, then I'd be on my 94th incarnation by now. _EDT. Y'all, there's been an update. The girl who ran it texted me and I have the receipts. Don't worry, she's got them certifications. It's also XGRA hilarious that she accuses me of projecting my trauma and insists that's why I took issue with her method. Then she had the audacity to apologize for the imaginary trauma she assumes I have. Also, I don't know why she thinks I actually did the exercise, because I left behind the twine and sticks untouched. I did not participate or even try to think of a trauma to release. Because, to be honest, although there's some trauma in my past, I'm not haunted by it, and have worked through a lot of it with a licensed therapist. The ad hominem attacks were just silly to me. _eat it. Eat it? Oh my god, I am shaking this time. Y'all. I went back on the app BC. I had new matches and messages. One of them seemed normal at first, We were talking about video games, and she asked me about Zelda. Zelda is my name on a lot of social media. People typically assume it's about the video game, but I'm actually weirdly obsessed with Zelda Fitzgerald LMFAO. I'm a lit nerd, okay. Anyway, she said, I would love to get together and hear more about what Zelda means to you. Okay, seriously, who talks like that? I'll give you 2 guesses, but you're only gonna need 1. So I looked at her profile. 0 mention of spirituality. Finally, I ask, dreading the answer. And Trishi is part of Annie's group. What's particularly hilarious was how vehemently the leader denied getting her members from that app, and yet, the very next person I encounter on the APP is in her group. I swear, y'all. I swear. I am getting off this fucking app. I am deleting it off my phone. I'm getting an entirely new phone. I'm changing my number. I'm going to space. Fuck new friends.